Omega-3 fats and fibrous carbs really are the key to your overall health and body composition. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again, when we come to these topics, we have to remember that all carbs and all fats are not created equal, although obviously we generally want whole food sources of these things. The thing to keep in mind, though, when it comes to our real powerhouses, what's going to help us the most with things like gut flora, what's going to help us with insulin sensitivity, body composition, controlling inflammation, these are the winners, right? This is what we want to be taking in, okay? And the reason for it, first of all, the omega-3 fats. Out of all the different fats, some fats are more pro-inflammatory, some are anti-inflammatory. In the order of anti-inflammatory towards inflammatory, it tends to be omega-3 polyunsaturated fats, the most anti-inflammatory. Considerably less so, but still anti-inflammatory is omega-6s, all but arachidonic acid, which is inflammatory. But in general, most of them are very anti-inflammatory. And then as we go down the chart, plant source omega or monounsaturated tend to be mildly anti-inflammatory, whereas in the animal source ones are not. They're more neutral. Then we get over into saturated fats. They tend to be more inflammatory. And it's the same thing when it comes to things like insulin sensitivity, fat burning, fat oxidation. So we see the same thing in the lab when it's looked at, like when it comes to insulin sensitivity. It's in that same order. The omega-3s tend to be very good at promoting it. So do omega-6s, and saturated fat tends to cause insulin resistance. And again, these are talking about in large quantities. In moderation, saturated fat seems to be perfectly fine, no problems, any of those things. Okay, but when we're looking at inflammation, we're looking at insulin sensitivity, these are our winners. Like, this is where we want to be. And out of all the fatty acids, the omega-3s are going to give us the most benefit there. So we should be eating them liberally, meaning even if we need to supplement them. So what do I mean? What are our best sources of omega-3? Fatty fish, okay, walnuts, flax seeds, okay, those are your plant sources. Omega-3 eggs for animal source. And if you need to supplement these things, this is one of the few things you might benefit from supplementing in significant quantities. And I would generally advocate that. I would say that's a good idea. Again, controlling inflammatory markers, improving insulin sensitivity, and even controlling fat burning. Because that same chart I just gave you, as far as them increasing fat oxidation and using fat as a fuel, it works in that order, okay, down that same chain. So again, if we're focused on the polyunsaturated fats with a bias towards omega-3, fat burning is going to be really high. Whereas with saturated fat, fat storage tends to be higher. And again, we're not saying these in absolutes. We're saying this is what we see in the trends, in the data, in the lab. This is how it works. So now when it comes to carbohydrates, we see similar patterns. High fiber carbohydrates, again, tends to be whole grains, fruit, and again, fiber being relative, but what we mean is relatively unprocessed. Whole grains, fruit, legumes, vegetables, these things. All right, this is where we want to get our carbohydrate sources, and we want them to have fiber. We want them to be relatively complete foods. Now, that being said, they should generally be cooked other than fruit and to some extent vegetables. So, again, this is an area where you see a lot of nonsense. You see a lot of quacks, and it has been completely debunked by experts, doctors, researchers, even departments of university and nutrition departments where, well, we shouldn't eat these things because of these anti-nutrients and phytic acid and lectin and all these things, right? Okay. All those problems go away when you cook them. And we all know this. Yes, you shouldn't be eating raw beans. You shouldn't be eating completely uncooked grains. You shouldn't be eating handfuls of brown rice dry, right? You're not supposed to be eating those things. Absolutely. And if you eat those things completely raw and uncooked in large amounts, of course we're going to have these concerns. Of course we're going to have these problems. But our ancestors didn't do that. They cooked them. And when you cook them, all these problems go away. And this is what all the best experts have said. They're like, these are people just being quacks. It's nonsense. right? These are quacks selling books and selling fad diets. So when we look at this, the same thing happens to fiber. So when it comes down to blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, fibrous carbohydrates tend to improve insulin sensitivity because of the way we absorb some, the slower release, right? We have all these things. We also have the satiety factor. So if we're looking at sustained energy, controlling appetite, this is beneficial. Now, then we come to the gut health thing, and here's the problem we have. A lot of people will bring up, well, I can't handle all this fiber. Yeah, because you've allowed your gut health to get bad. If you spent the last 10 years eating nothing but garbage food, you don't have the healthy gut flora to handle the fiber. So of course you're going to have issues. But if you build it up slowly, it will be restored, right? Your gut flora will improve. And that is, again, the key to health. Like, we know at this point with what we're seeing with all this data, because we have all this information on gut health and gut flora. But what we find is people who eat a diverse number of fibrous foods, okay, that is our prebiotic foods, all those things I just listed, it feeds your gut flora. And if you eat multiple types through the week, you don't just eat just one, you have a diversity of those things, we tend to have a more diverse gut flora, okay? What we find is that improved gut flora will improve all your health markers, reduces insulin sensitivity, even affects mental health, hormone function, immune system, recovery. So again, getting all these fibrous carbohydrates in, once you adapt to them, once you get used to them, is enormously beneficial. Absolutely enormously beneficial. Okay? It's again one of the reasons I kind of tell people I promote a brown rice and sweet potato type diet. But again, think about those sort of foods. Those sort of foods is a foundation, right? Foundational foods in your diet. It will go a long, long way to improving your health. Right? These are the things we should be eating. Okay? Again, the fiber. The fiber is really the key. And as many people try to be anti-fiber, that is a knee-jerk response to people having destroyed their health from eating low-fiber diets for so long that they can't handle healthy eating, and it has to be slowly introduced back in. But once you readapt, your overall health will improve. And again, fibrous carbohydrates, omega-3 fats, this is really the key to both controlling inflammation, having the highest insulin sensitivity, and high insulin sensitivity not only has all the health benefits for diabetes, cancer, heart disease, it will help you maximize body composition, build muscle, burn fat. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.